Have you ever felt that sharp sting of disappointment? You plan the perfect day, expect someone to show up for you, or pin your hopes on a promotion that feels deserved, and then it all falls apart. You're left frustrated, angry, or even empty inside, wondering why life keeps letting you down. That pain isn't just from what happened. It's from the gap between what you expected and what reality gave you. We've all been there, carrying these silent demands on the world, only to suffer when they go unmet. If this resonates with you, stay with me. Today, we're exploring a timeless Stoic rule that can free you from this cycle. The zero expectations rule for true, lasting happiness. If you're finding value in these Stoic insights already, hit that like button to support the channel and subscribe for more practical wisdom to live a calmer, stronger life. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Number 1. Why expectations are the hidden enemy of happiness. Expectations seem harmless at first. We build them naturally, imagining how people should act, how events should unfold, or how life should reward our efforts. But the Stoics saw clearly that these unspoken demands create most of our suffering. Epictetus taught that it's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When we expect fairness, loyalty, or success, we set ourselves up for pain because the world doesn't owe us anything. This rule of zero expectations isn't about giving up hope. It's about releasing the grip that turns neutral events into personal attacks. Think of a time you expected appreciation from a friend or family member, only to feel hurt when it didn't come. That hurt stems from attachment to an outcome beyond your control. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, because expectations paint a perfect picture that life rarely matches. By holding zero expectations of others' behavior or external rewards, you reclaim your peace. No one can disappoint you if you don't demand they meet your script. This shifts the burden from the unpredictable world back to your own choices. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that people will act according to their nature, not your wishes. Expecting otherwise is like being angry at the rain for falling. Zero expectations doesn't mean cynicism, it means realism. You stop judging events as bad simply because they deviate from your plan. Instead, you meet life as it is without the filter of should. This frees emotional energy once wasted on resentment, allowing room for genuine contentment in the present moment. In modern life, social media amplifies this trap, showing curated highlights that fuel expectations of constant excitement or success. But the Stoics lived in a harsher world and found tranquility by dropping these illusions. Practicing zero expectations builds resilience. Outcomes no longer dictate your mood. You act with effort and virtue, but detach from results. Over time, this creates a steady inner happiness, untouched by fleeting disappointments. True freedom comes when you realize expectations are self-imposed chains. Let them go, and you walk lighter through life. The Stoics proved this rule works across centuries. Emperors, slaves, and scholars all found peace in it. Start small. Notice one expectation today and release it. Watch how the weight lifts, revealing a quieter, deeper joy already waiting within you. Number 2, what the ancient Stoics taught about releasing expectations. Epictetus, born a slave, knew control's limits better than most. He said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." This is the core of zero expectations. Align your will with reality, not force reality to bend. He distinguished what's in our power, our judgments and actions, from what isn't, like others' opinions or fate's turns. Expecting control over the uncontrollable breeds misery. Seneca, advisor to emperors, wrote letters urging us to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future. He observed that expectancy robs today by hanging on tomorrow. True happiness, he said, is to rest satisfied with what we have. Zero expectations means preparing for fortune's changes while not demanding specific outcomes. Seneca practiced premeditatio malorum, visualizing setbacks to soften their blow, ensuring nothing catches him unprepared emotionally. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire amid plagues and wars, journaled reminders like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He expected obstacles, viewing them as opportunities to practice virtue. Zero expectations allowed him to lead calmly, without bitterness when plans failed. His meditations show a man who dropped demands on life, finding happiness in duty done well, regardless of praise or results. These three Stoics from different walks of life agreed, expectations outside our control are futile. They didn't lower standards for themselves. Virtue remained high, but released demands on externals. This isn't passive, it's active acceptance. By studying their words, we see zero expectations as a practice skill, honed through reflection, leading to unbreakable tranquility. Their teachings endure because they address human nature timelessly. In chaos, they found peace by expecting nothing yet acting fully. Apply this today. Read one quote from Epictetus, Seneca, or Marcus each morning. Let it remind you to release expectations gently. Over time, their wisdom becomes your own, turning potential suffering into steady, profound happiness. Number 3, the pain of expectations in everyday life. In relationships, we expect partners to read our minds or never change, leading to arguments and heartbreak. Zero expectations means loving without demands, accepting flaws as part of the human package. This doesn't diminish care, it deepens it, free from scorekeeping. Disappointment fades when you stop requiring perfection from imperfect people. At work, we expect promotions, fair treatment, or smooth projects. When delays or politics intervene, frustration builds. The Stoics would say, do your best, but expect resistance. Zero expectations lets you focus on excellence for its own sake, turning setbacks into growth without self-pity. Even in small things like traffic or weather, we expect convenience, raging inwardly when inconvenienced. Marcus noted irritation comes from unmet assumptions. Drop the expectation of ease, and delays become neutral, perhaps chances to practice patience. Health and aging bring unexpected changes. Expecting eternal youth invites despair. Zero expectations embraces the body's natural course, focusing on what remains controllable, mindset and daily choices. This brings gratitude over grievance. These everyday pains compound when unchecked, eroding happiness quietly. Recognizing expectations as the source empowers change. The zero rule isn't absolute elimination, but mindful reduction. Expect effort from yourself, nothing guaranteed from the world. Life's frustrations lessen, revealing space for unforced joy. Number 4, how to practice the zero expectations rule daily. Start each morning with a simple reminder. Today, I expect nothing from externals. Journal one area where expectations arise, relationships, work, or plans, and reframe it. Focus on your response instead. This builds the habit gently. Use negative visualization. Briefly imagine plans failing or people letting you down. Not to dwell negatively, but to prepare emotionally. Seneca did this to ensure fortune surprises don't shatter peace. It normalizes uncertainty, reducing shock. When disappointment hits, pause and ask, what expectation caused this? Name it, then release it. Epictetus advised consenting to what happens immediately. This interrupts the suffering cycle, returning you to calm action. Practice Amor, Fati, love of fate. Marcus urged welcoming everything as necessary. With zero expectations, events become raw material for virtue. Kindness in conflict, courage in loss. Act well regardless, and happiness follows naturally. End days reflecting, what did I release today? What did I cling? Be patient. This rule deepens with repetition. Over weeks, you'll notice lighter emotions, more presence. It's practical stoicism, not theory, but lived freedom leading to enduring happiness. Number 5, the lasting freedom and joy of zero expectations. With zero expectations, happiness shifts from conditional to unconditional. No longer waiting for if only, the job, the relationship, the circumstance. You find contentment now. Seneca called this resting satisfied with what is sufficient for true wealth. Freedom blooms, untied from outcomes. You act boldly without fear of failure. Effort flows purely. Creativity rises. Relationships deepen without possession. The world feels less hostile, more like a training ground for your soul. Surprises become gifts. Good outcomes delight without dependency. Bad ones test, but don't break you. This balanced equanimity is the Stoic ideal, tranquility amid storms. Over time, virtue shines brighter as your focus. Happiness, for Stoics, is the byproduct of living wisely. Zero expectations clears the path, letting joy arise from within, steady and deep. This rule isn't suppression, it's liberation. Embrace it and life opens wider. You become unbreakable, calmly wise, directly facing whatever comes. Thank you for watching. Apply this today and share your experiences below. Like, subscribe, and let's continue this journey together. Number 6, the difference between zero expectations and lowering your standards. Many fear that zero expectations means becoming passive or accepting mediocrity. This is a common misunderstanding. The Stoics held the highest standards for themselves: virtue, effort, and excellence, while releasing demands on outcomes. Zero expectations applies only to what lies outside your control: results, reactions, rewards. You still strive fully, but without attachment to success as proof of worth. Epictetus worked diligently despite being a slave, never lowering his commitment to wisdom. He expected nothing from his master's kindness or from fate, yet lived with unbreakable integrity. This separation is key. High internal standards protect your character, while zero external expectations protect your peace. One strengthens you, the other frees you. In practice, this means preparing thoroughly for a presentation, but not expecting applause. You give your best because excellence is its own reward, not because praise is guaranteed. When recognition comes, it's a pleasant surprise. When it doesn't, your self-respect remains intact. Standards stay high, suffering stays low. Relationships benefit deeply from this distinction. You maintain standards of respect, honesty, and care in how you treat others, but expect nothing in return. Love becomes a gift freely given, not a transaction. This prevents resentment and allows genuine connection to flourish without the weight of unspoken demands. Zero expectations is not resignation. It's refined ambition. You aim high within your circle of control and remain serene about the rest. This combination creates powerful, consistent action backed by inner calm. Standards define who you become. Zero expectations define how lightly you carry life's uncertainties. Number 7, how zero expectations strengthens your relationships. Most conflicts arise from unmet expectations we never clearly voiced. We assume others should know our needs or act a certain way, then feel betrayed when they don't. Dropping these silent contracts transforms relationships. You begin to see people as they are, not as projections of your wishes. With zero expectations, gratitude replaces entitlement. A kind word or helpful act becomes a genuine gift instead of something owed. This shift deepens appreciation and reduces criticism. Partners, friends, and family feel less pressure to perform, creating space for authentic closeness. You stop keeping score. Forgiveness comes easier because there's no ledger of disappointments. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that people act according to their character, not to hurt you. Accepting this truth dissolves anger and opens room for understanding and patience. Love without expectation is stronger and more enduring. It allows others to change, grow, or even leave without shattering your peace. You remain steady in your own virtue, kind, honest, present, while releasing demands on their responses. This maturity attracts healthier bonds over time. Practice consistently. Zero expectations turns relationships into sources of joy rather than stress. You give freely and receive openly. Conflicts shrink, trust deepens, and connection feels lighter. The Stoics knew that true intimacy thrives when no one is trying to control the other. Number 8. Zero expectations and achieving your goals. It seems counterintuitive. How can you pursue big goals without expecting success? The Stoics answer that true progress comes from focusing on process, not outcome. Zero expectations removes the fear of failure that often paralyzes action. You move forward boldly because your happiness doesn't hinge on reaching the finish line. Effort becomes pure. When you expect nothing, each step is taken for its own value. Learning, growth, discipline. Seneca wrote that the journey itself contains the reward. Goals remain motivating, but they no longer hold your self-worth hostage. Setbacks lose their sting. A rejected proposal, a failed venture, or slow progress no longer feels like personal defeat. You assess, adjust, and continue without emotional collapse. This resilience compounds over time, leading to greater long-term achievement than fragile, expectation-driven striving. Paradoxically, detaching from outcomes often improves them. Free from anxiety and self-judgment, your mind works clearer, creativity flows, and decisions sharpen. Athletes perform better without pressure. Artists create more freely without craving approval. The same applies to any ambition. Goals become allies rather than tyrants. You set them high, work daily with full commitment, and release attachment to the result. This is the Stoic path to meaningful accomplishment. Consistent action backed by unshakable inner peace. Success, when it comes, is enjoyed fully. Delays or failures are met with calm persistence. Number 9. Common obstacles when starting zero expectations and how to overcome them. The first obstacle is mistaking zero expectations for indifference. It feels like caring less about life or people. In truth, it's caring without clinging. Remind yourself daily. Releasing expectations is an act of strength, not withdrawal. It allows deeper presence because nothing is clouded by demand. Old habits resist change. You'll catch yourself expecting fairness, punctuality, or gratitude automatically. Don't judge this, observe it gently. Each noticed expectation is an opportunity to practice release. Patience with yourself is part of the discipline. Fear arises that others will take advantage if you expect nothing. Yet the opposite often happens. Calm, non-demanding presence earns more respect than anxious control. Boundaries remain firm. You simply enforce them without emotional charge or expectation of compliance. Temporary emptiness can appear when you drop familiar expectations. The mind, used to chasing outcomes, feels strangely quiet. This space is where true contentment grows. Fill it not with new demands, but with awareness of the present and gratitude for what already is. The biggest obstacle is inconsistency. One day of practice feels liberating. The next day, old patterns return under stress. Accept this as normal. Return to the rule each morning. Reflect each evening. Progress is measured in gradual lightness, not perfection. Persistence turns the practice into your natural way of being. Number 10. The deeper spiritual freedom of zero expectations. At its deepest level, zero expectations aligns you with reality itself. The The Stoics saw the universe as rationally ordered, moving according to nature. Expecting life to conform to personal desires is swimming against the current. Releasing that struggle brings profound harmony. You begin to experience events as neutral, colored only by your judgment. Pain, loss, joy, gain, all pass through without sticking as mine or against me. This detachment is not cold. It's spacious awareness that allows fuller feeling without suffering. Gratitude arises naturally. Without the filter of should, everything given becomes a gift. Simple moments, breath, sunlight, a kind glance, shine brighter. Seneca lived richly with little because he demanded nothing more than what came. Inner freedom deepens to a sense of unity. You act in accord with virtue, accepting whatever role the greater whole assigns. Like Marcus on the battlefield or Epictetus in chains, peace remains regardless of circumstance. This is the ultimate Stoic promise. Zero expectations is a lifelong return to what is true. It strips away illusion, leaving clear sight and quiet joy. The practice never ends, yet each release brings you closer to the unshakable happiness the Stoics lived and taught. Walk this path steadily, and life itself becomes the reward. This is the heart of the zero expectations rule. Happiness is not found by chasing better circumstances, but by releasing the silent demands we place on them. The Stoics showed us that true peace lives in the space between what we hope for and what actually arrives. When we widen that space, suffering shrinks and joy expands. Start small today. Notice one expectation, name it, and let it go. Do this again tomorrow and the next day. Over time, you'll feel the lightness grow, a steady, quiet happiness that no external event can take away. You've already taken the first step by watching this far. Carry this wisdom with you, live it, and watch your life transform. Thank you for being here. If this spoke to you, like the video, subscribe for more Stoic guidance, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. I read everyone. Until next time, expect nothing, embrace everything, and stay strong.